Okay, so let's kind of look from the beginning and fill you guys in for a minute. So today, again, what we're doing is we're finishing reflections part 2 symbolically. And then I think what I want to do is maybe give you guys vertical translation. We'll go with the vertical translation homework first. And then that way you can be working on it if you want when you get a chance. And then after break we'll go over horizontal translation, which is a little bit different, and probably get into a little bit into intro to inverses. Remember, you guys decided you did not want to have class on Monday, so there'll be no class on Monday. So you get Monday off, because remember I worked in a few extra weeks, so I can give you guys a break here or there so you don't burn out completely. So do not show up on Monday. Everybody good with that part? But we do have due today in class graphing inequalities, which I just picked up from you folks. And then also don't forget you have a MyOpen Math tonight, due tonight, just before midnight, on functions and their representations. So we kind of have been going over that the last couple of classes, so I'm feeling like you guys should be fairly comfortable with that one at this point. Are there any questions about that one? Somebody tried those and had any troublesome ones? Okay, sounds good. There's also videos with those, which is super helpful. Next Monday, you have the in-class reflections graphically homework, which is a handout I gave you guys last class that we went over. So that one's due on Monday.
There's no class Monday. No class.
Oh, I'm sorry. So yes, so that will be due next Wednesday as well. So thank you. Yes, so that will be due next Wednesday. So that's also due on Wednesday. We'll make both those due on Wednesday. Try to get done Monday though, so that way you don't have both two things due on Wednesday. Because Wednesday you also have another MyOpen Math due, the composition and inverse functions, which we're going over today for the first time. So you might need to bump that back. We'll see how that goes today. Since we're having Monday off, we might need to push that one back a little bit. Okay, and then next Friday, the in-class vertical translation homework is due. And like I said, I think what we might end up needing to do is pushing this one down to there, and I'll bump that one out a little further as well. But we'll kind of see how today goes. Okay. So let's take a look at what we're doing. So here's our reflection symbolically, which is what we're working on. And we finished out these. And then this one, remember, what we said was for in the x-axis, the key thing about the x-axis is that y becomes negative y. Right? So that's kind of the key thing to remember there. So what you want to do is take your function and make it y equals x plus 1 in this case. And then you're going to replace it with, and the reflection is going to become negative y equals x plus 1. Multiply both sides. So the entire side, I'm going to multiply by negative 1. So then I'll end up with positive y equals negative 1 times x. In this case, negative 1 times positive 1, negative 1. So then I'll have my new function g of x equals negative x minus 1. All right, then we kind of confirm we're looking at these. All right, so let's take a look at what problems you guys have. So here's the first one. We'll go over the first three. All right, so this one, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to y equals 2x minus 1. Right, so that's the function. And now I'm going to do the reflection. This is a different function. I'm going to change this from y to negative y. So it's not the same function anymore, it's a different function. So I've messed with one of the variables. So negative y equals 2x minus 1. And now I'm going to multiply I want regular y. I need to solve for y. So how do I do that? I multiply both sides by negative 1. So I'm going to multiply this side by -1, the whole side. And I will multiply this by -1, the whole side. So the whole thing, 2x minus 1, is in parentheses. Right? So whatever was here, the whole thing in parentheses is going to be multiplied by -1. Why am I putting in parentheses? Because I'm saying that I want all of this to be multiplied by -1. You got to multiply this whole side by -1, this whole side by -1. So now, can I remove the parentheses? Is there anything acting on it in front or up top? Yes, it's being multiplied in the front. Do you guys see what's going on? So I cannot remove these parentheses. The only way to get rid of them is to distribute in. So I'm going to distribute in. The left side, -1 times -y is y. Right, so I did that just to get regular y. And then -1 times 2x, and -1 times -1. So I'll end up with -1 times 2x is -2x. -1 times -1 is +1, plus 1. Everybody all right with that part? Okay, and then I'm going to make this my new function, g of x is equal to -2x plus 1. Perfect. Not done yet. I need to pick 3 points on here that lie on grid marks. So here's one, here's one, here's one. I'm going to pick those 3. You can pick any 3 you want. And I'm going to reflect them across, we're reflecting across the x-axis now, this one right here. So we're going to reflect it across the x-axis.
But just 2 points?
I just picked 3 points, right? Make a table of values. I need to reflect, I need to sketch the graph, so I'm just going to, the easiest way to do that is to pick 3 points and then reflect them. So I want to pick ones that are on a grid mark because those are easier. And I'm going to reflect it across the x-axis. So what I'm going to do is grab it and say, okay, this one, this guy here, he's 1 above. So if it's 1 above, I'm going to graph it 1 below. Right in there. Does that seem all right? This one here, he's 1 below, so I'm going to move him what?
1 up.
1 above. This one, this guy down here, he's how far below the line?
3 below.
Yep, 3 below, so I'm going to make him 3 above. And then I'll draw a new line. And then a little table, right? Do a little table, x, y, and then put in your new points. So I have, again, start at your origin, and then walk left or right to get your point. So how do I get to this point? I'd go left 1, so that's -1, and I'd go up 3, so that's y is 3, +3. How do I get to, everyone look up for a second. Let me get everyone's attention, make sure we're all on board. I'll wait till everyone's looking up. I'll just wait for everybody. I'm just going to wait for everybody to look up. Okay, so everyone's looking up. This point right here, if I'm at the origin, I don't have to go left or right at all. Right, so my x, my left to right is 0, but I do go up 1 to get there. So my y is going to be 1. This last point over here, this guy down in the bottom, from 0, how do I get there? Do I go left or right? Right. I go right 1, so it means my x is 1, +1, and then I go down 1. So my y is what? -1. You might have picked different points. You can pick any points you want. Your points are fine. You don't have to use my points. Just pick what, just use whatever points you use. That's all good. Okay. All right. Now we're going to look at this one. This one's a little bit tricky. So that's why I kind of wanted to go through it together. All right, so first I'm going to rewrite this. Y equals x minus 1 squared. Now, I'm going to do the reflection. I'm going to change my y and replace it with negative y. Alright, so now this is the new function. Below the line is the new function, the reflected function. How do I solve for this? I'm going to need to multiply both sides by negative 1. Alright, so here's the deal. Here I have y. Is there anything acting on this parentheses? I got a couple things. I've got the negative 1 in front. I've got the exponent up top. So here's a rule for you guys. I want you guys to use for this class. If I have an exponent up top, any exponent at all, positive, negative, fraction, whole number, you cannot go inside. I cannot distribute it inside of here if I have an exponent. You can't do it. So for this class, we're just going to leave it alone. We're just going to leave this where it is.
So you do the exponents first, every operation?
You could. So what you could do is you could do x minus 1 squared. So x minus 1 times x minus 1. So if you really wanted to, so you could just leave it like this. Negative x minus 1 squared. That's totally fine. If you really wanted to, you could do this. Do the squared part first. Right? Get the negative, we do that later. X minus 1 times x minus 1, right? Multiply by itself twice. So then I have to do the FOIL thing, right? I have to do x times x times negative 1, negative 1 times x, negative 1 times negative 1. So then I'd end up with, this becomes x squared minus x plus 1. And the negative's still in front, so then I combine like terms. So I get x squared minus a negative x and a negative x could combine to make negative 2x plus 1. Negative, so then I would put the negative in front. So then it'd be negative x squared plus 2x minus 1. So this is how you do it if you were going to do that. We're just going to leave it alone. Right? Because I've decided that in this class, I'm okay if you guys don't FOIL. Just leave those guys alone. All right? If you want to FOIL, do that. What I don't want you to do is do the mistake of saying, oh, x minus 1 squared is x squared and minus 1. It's not that. Because you got a FOIL, you got that 2x in there. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? So what I don't want you to do is somehow take that and make it into this. Right? X squared minus 1 squared, because that's wrong. You're missing this piece here. So just leave it in parentheses, and we'll forget about it. I mean, we'll forget it. We'll leave it alone. Everybody all right with that part? Good? So I guess my point is either do it right, or just don't do it at all. Just leave it like it is. What was that?
That's what my mom said.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Well,
So,
I'm trying to do the laundry.
right, so I'm going to write down optional. Right? Or just leave it as negative x minus 1 squared. Okay. Good. And here's the thing. If anybody tried and ended up getting this, thinking it was that, it's okay, because I've taught calculus before, and a chunk of my calculus students make that same mistake all the time. So if my calculus students are making that error, I'm not going to make you guys FOIL it. We'll just leave it in the square. That's why I decided to do that, because it's a super common error, and we'll just leave it. We'll leave it as is. Okay, so that's that one. We need to draw it. I need to reflect this across this axis here. Oops, this axis here. So I'm going to pick points. So all you guys have pick points on the grid spot already, right? Probably those ones. And figure out where they go. So this one is 4 above, I'm going to make it 4 below. This one's 1 above, I'm going to make it 1 below. This one's right on, leave it alone. This one's 1 above, I'll make it 1 below. This one here is 4 above, I'll make it 4 below. So then my new reflection will be like that. Right, so that's a mirror image across the x-axis. Okay, so what are some of those points? Well, I don't know, let's see. What do we got? We've got x, y. I start off at, what was that?
Like 0 and
0, oh yeah, that's 1 point, negative 1.0.
Oh,
Yeah, I know, it's hard to see, there's a decimal in there, yes, you're right. 0 and negative 1.0, we'll just call it 1. And I don't know why they put the .0's in there, it's kind of crazy, right? And then this one, what's this one down here, guys? This bottom one down here. So from the origin, you're going to walk to,
-1, -4?
yep, to -1, and they're going to go down 4. So negative, you're going to walk to -1, you're going to go down 4, so that's -4. How do I get to this guy right here in the middle? This one, this kind of reflecting point.
not to the right.
Walk. Yep, walk to the right one, so +1. And then how far up and down am I going to go?
You're already on the floor, you won't be on.
Yep, you're on the floor, you want to be on, so it's just 0.
So 1, 0?
Okay, everyone figure out, walk me through how to get to the next 2 points. I'm going to call on someone randomly. So check with your neighbors about how to find those last 2 points. Give you guys 15 seconds.
Oh, I don't even know which one she did, so I'm lost. Which one do we do? This side or this side? Here, figure this out. Oh, these two? Oh, so it's just 2, it's 2 -1. Yeah. 2 -1. Oh, this one.
So David, how do I get to this point from the origin? How would I get there?
For x, it'll be 2, and for y, it'll be -1.
Yeah, did you guys hear what he said? Did everyone hear what he said?
Just,
You got, fine, let David talk. David, what'd you say?
X will be 2.
First you go 2, yeah, 2 to the
Y
right.
will be -1.
And then you go down 1, -1. Perfect. Alex, the last one down here,
You have to go to the right 3
right 3,
and then down 4.
down 4. Y is -4. Good? Okay. Right, next one. So again, y equals x to the 3rd. That's my original equation. Now I'm going to change it and change the y to -y. It's a different equation. Did I say g of x equals negative x minus 1 squared? Okay. All right, so same thing. I need to multiply both sides by -1. Okay, so here I have y. So that 3 is acting on the x, so I'm just gonna multiply that. So I'm just gonna distribute the -1 in. I've only got one thing in there, right? So if you look at this parentheses, I've got no exponent here. There's no exponent that's acting on it, but I do have a number in front that I'm being multiplied, right? So I need to distribute that number in. So I'm going to multiply it. -1 times x to the 3rd is negative x to the 3rd. Good? It's just that simple. Don't overly complicate it. That's just it. Now we're going to draw spots for it.
and we're not simplifying x to the 3rd?
You can't. That is simplified. I mean, you could do it like
Negative
this.
x times negative x times negative x. right?
No, it's not this.
That's
It's not this. It's it's negative x to the third. The 3 is acting just on the x.
Yeah, so then.
The 3 is acting only on the x.
times that
So we
times
could,
x.
yeah, we could say equals negative x times x times x, if you want. But if I simplify this, I'd simplify it to x to the third. That is the simplified version. This is, okay, so this is what we call expanded version.
Yeah,
When you expand it,
yeah.
this is really the simplified version.
You'd only be able to simplify it if you knew what x was.
Right, if you knew what x was, you could evaluate it.
Which
And put a
means you
number
have
in.
to find a point on the graph. But
Right.
Symbolically.
Like I
Yeah.
just, like
What they
the
said,
original
right?
one up at the top is x to the third, right? So you just x times, so it'd be negative x then, right?
So x to the third means you multiply x by itself 3 times.
Yeah.
So that's this. If I were to simplify this, I'd say, well, I multiply x by itself 3 times, it's x to the third. What were you thinking of doing?
No, I mean, I thought x 3 times was a negative.
Oh,
Negative 3 times is a negative. A negative times a negative times a negative is a negative. And x times an x times an x is x third.
I thought odds are negative and evens are positive.
No. A negative sign to the negative is negative. A negative sign to an even symbol, that's just this, not this. So that, I want to make sure we're clear on this one. So negative 1 to the third power, that's a negative. But x to the third is still x to the third. That doesn't go away or become positive, negative, just, that has nothing to do with negatives. They're two separate things. The negative is separate from the number or the letter. Yeah, that, we can talk about that later.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's find our 3 points, 5 points. Everyone find 5 points, mark them on your graph. I want to see everybody marking those on their graph. Find the 3 points on a grid mark. Great, perfect. And then flip them, right? Flip them across the axis.
If you look at the negative 1 times negative y equals negative 1 times x to the third, again, order of operations, you always do things in parentheses first. So even though it says negative x to the third, you can imagine it as negative 1x to the third. But you always.
That's what I'm doing. I agree with that.
All right, so then take each of your points and reflect them across the x-axis.
Equals negative x, right? And
So if
then
it's
times-
8 above, it becomes 8 below.
This
If it's 1 above, it becomes 1 below. So
equals,
it's right on, so it stays the same. 1 below becomes 1 above. All right, so just to point out, this point here, it's 2 over and 1/2 up. So this would be 2 comma 1/2 or 0.5.
I'm following you way behind on
So that will
this.
kind of help you guys
Already
a
know
little
that.
bit.
Like, I know how to keep up with this, I don't read all this.
Oops.
X minus 1.
Excellent. So let's go and take a look at this one. So again, we're going to make that y equals 1 over x. And then we're going to change it, right, to being negative y equals 1 over x. That's our reflection. It's a different function. And we're going to multiply both sides by negative 1. And negative 1 times negative y is y. Negative 1 times 1x is negative 1 over x. So then it becomes g of x is equal to negative 1 over x. Now, graphing this, let's see. I'm going to pick these 3 points and these 3 points. so then this actually ends up being just almost exactly like we did before. So this one is 1/2 this way, so I'm going to make it 1/2 that way. This one here, if I look at this point, it's 1 down, so I'll make it 1 up. This one here is 2 down, so I'll make it 2 up. And then kind of draw it in. And then same thing with this one. It's if I go to the 1/2 spot, this is 2 up, so I'll make it 2 down. This is 1 up, I'll make it 1 down. And this one here is kind of 1/2 up, I'll make it 1/2 down. And I find it easiest to start from this point and just go off that way, and then go this way and go down. Excuse me. Thank you. All right. Let's take a look at these points. So the new points, this one's -1 to the left, so -1, +1. And then maybe -1/2, +2. And some guys, so a lot of you guys did 2 different tables, so that'd be -2, 1/2. And then the other ones would be, if I make them 2 different tables, it's fine. 1/2 and then down 2. 1/2 and then -2. 1 and then down 1, so 1 and then -1. And then 2 and then down 1/2. As long as you did at least 3 points, we're all good. You don't do them all, that's all right. Okay, so let's take a look at the, I'm going to move on in, take a picture if you need to, and move on in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Y equals x² plus 1. I'm going to create a new one and make it -y equals x² plus 1. So I'm going to multiply both sides by -1. All right, so this becomes y. Here, is there anything acting out as parentheses? Well, there's no exponent, but there is a -1 in front, so I need to FOIL that. So I'm going to multiply those by each of those pieces. So then we end up with -1 times x² is -x². -1 times +1 is -1. Good, so our final one would be g of x is equal to negative, and 1x² is the same thing as x². Like a lot of times it's like, we could say, I have 1 apple. It's kind of the same thing as saying I have an apple. So whether you have the 1 in front or not, it's the same thing. Okay. And then again, I'm going to pick those 5 points and flip them across, this time across this axis here. So it ends up being, well, here I'm 5 up, I'm going to go 5 down. Here I'm 2 up, I'm going to go 2 down. 1 up, I'll go 1 down. 2 up, 2 down. 5 up, 5 down. So you end up with this. And table of those points, x and y. So this one's -2 and then down 5, so -2, -5. This one's back 1 and down 2, so -1, -2. This one's, I don't go left or right at all, so it's 0, but I go down 1 from my height. So then I go 1 to the right and down 2, so 1 to the right, down 2 is -2. So then I go 2 to the right and down 5, so 2, -5. All right, so we've got one last part of this, which is determining how things have been reflected. So take a look at it and see, has just the x component become -x, or has the whole thing become negative? So if you kind of look at it, am I just replacing the x by -x, or am I replacing the y, this is y. So this is y. All right, everyone's comfortable, right? G of x is y. Here's the thing. If this is y and it equals this, this is also y. Is everyone understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So this is y, which means that this is also y. Do you guys understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
This right here is x. So I'm just kind of following what I'm saying here? All right, so my question is, has this become negative, or has just the x become negative? What do you think? Just the x, because the 1 has stayed positive. Do you guys kind of see that? So only the x became negative x. So if x becomes negative x, and y stays the same, it's across the y-axis. So across the y-axis. What do you guys think about the next one? So why don't you guys take a minute with your neighbors and try and see if you can sort out the other two.